Hey, excuse the way I look. I just made another video talking about how crazy my day has been. I'll put a link right here so you can check it out. And yeah, so I look like crap because it's been one of those days. I didn't mention in the video that I woke up to my dog peeing on me, and he's never ever had any issues with like peeing in bed or anything. So yeah, it was definitely not the best wake up. And then I have the other video that I made. I talk about two different stories. The second one happened today. So it's been a pretty crazy day for me. Anyway, on to this video. I have been trying to make this video I've been planning on making it since I first started making any of my videos. I want to talk about my miscarriage story. I talked about having a miscarriage a few times, but I've never gone into detail about it or anything like that in any of my videos. I wanted to save it all for one spot, so here it is, I guess. Me and Nathan, like a lot of you probably know, have been dating since December of last year. So anyway, we ended up finding out in May, the end of May of last year, that I was pregnant. And we were really excited and we were ready to do everything and like have the baby, and yeah, we were really excited. We told everybody and everyone seemed excited for us and stuff. And yeah, so the story takes place, I'm not exactly sure the date because it happened like over the course of a little while, but it's been pretty much a year. Like, if it's not a year to the day, it's within this week, it would be a year. So yeah, what happened was I was almost like around 9 weeks pregnant, I think. And I went to the bathroom and I noticed that I was bleeding a little bit. So I automatically worry, if you're pregnant and you're bleeding, that's not something that should be considered normal. So I went to the emergency department and they told me that everything was fine, and they did an ultrasound and they said it was too early for me to see the baby's heart beating yet. And I told them that about a week before that I had to go in for something else, so they had to do an ultrasound and I could see the heartbeat. So I said to them, it's not too early, I've already seen it. And they're like, well, we just can't find it today, everything's fine. If you start bleeding more, then come back. So they said that my cervix was closed and everything was normal. And they said that if I was having a miscarriage, that my cervix would be open. So I went home, and the next day I was bleeding more, so I went back, and I knew that there was something wrong, but they sent me home again and told me everything was fine. The next day I was bleeding even more, so I went back again, and they did a transvaginal ultrasound, and they told me that I had a miscarriage, and I was devastated, and so was Nathan. But he kept it together pretty well for my sake, because I really did not take it well at all when I found out. When we got home, I was just bawling my eyes out, and I told my mom, and she was upset, but she didn't really know what to say or anything. And Nathan called his parents, and as soon as he told them, he broke down. He was bawling his eyes out too, and we were both a mess. So anyway, his mom and dad told us that they were going to come in so that we had somebody there for like emotional support with us. So they came to our house, and it was just really emotional for all of us. And anyway, they told me that I had to go back to the doctor the next day. So I went back and they told me that the results came in that the baby died at 7 weeks and 2 days. So the whole time that they told me that everything was okay, when I knew it wasn't, they told me everything was fine, and it turns out that the baby was actually gone the whole time. And I was really, really upset that they would just send me home. They were treating it like it was nothing, like it was just normal and like everything was fine, and they didn't seem really concerned. And like I'm sure that like in the healthcare profession, miscarriages are really common. So I'm sure that they see it a lot, but it doesn't make it any easier for the patients. And I just didn't like how they handled the situation. So besides that, they sent me again to the doctor the next day. So this is 5 days in a row I've been to the hospital, and I'm just sick of it. Like, and they kept trying to like check my cervix and do all this stuff, and I just told them, I was like, don't touch me, just leave me alone. I just don't want to deal with any of this right now. And they told me that I would probably need to have a DNC, but I didn't want to do that. Personally, I know that this might sound really stupid to a lot of people and like dangerous or whatever, but I felt like that baby was like so important to me, and I felt like I was meant to be a mother and I was meant to have that baby. And I just couldn't understand how it could just be taken away from me. And I felt like if it was supposed to be taken away from me, if it wasn't supposed to be there, it would go out naturally and everything would be okay. So anyway, they told me that they didn't want to let me do that, but they said that they would put off the DNC and see how everything went if I would take these pills to help like speed on like delivery and stuff. So I did take the pills a few days later because I was going away for the weekend. But I think that everything started on its own naturally before I even took the pills. So what happened was they gave me Tylenol 3 for the pain, and they sent me home and said if I needed to take them, then I could take those. So I went home, and I was having a bit of cramping, but nothing really major. And then on the Friday night, so that same night, I started having really bad contractions. And it was so painful, and I couldn't stand it. Like, I took as many of the Tylenol 3s that I was supposed to take, and it was still, like, unbearable pain. And I was crying, and I was screaming, and I could not help myself. And like, even looking back on it, I don't think that I was overreacting. It was honestly the most painful experience of my life. And anybody who thinks that a miscarriage is easy, it's not at all. Like, yeah, it's emotionally hard on people, but physically it is a big deal too. Like, it's not a good experience, like, in any way, shape, or form. So I had contractions pretty much all night, and I fell asleep. And the next day when I went to the bathroom, I think that it passed. So I didn't see it. Like, it went down in the pipes in the toilet. They told me that if I could find it, like, to keep it in a jar or something and take it to the hospital so they could test to see what was wrong with it. But I didn't see it, and personally I'm really happy that I didn't, because I don't think I would have been able to handle seeing my dead baby. And yeah, after that, it was really difficult for our relationship, and we started fighting a lot, and we ended up actually breaking up for about a month or a month and a half, just because we both had so much on our plates and we're just not working well together. And then we still lived together, and we ended up getting back together and working everything out. But during that time, we both had to go through a lot. And I'm really happy that we still live together and stuff like that. And I feel like, as horrible as the situation was, it did bring us closer together as a couple, because we went through it together. And when you go through hard things like that with somebody, it can only make the relationship stronger. So anyway, that all happened at the end of June, beginning of July, and we ended up breaking up, I think, in the beginning of August and getting back together in September. So in November, I found out that I was pregnant again. Wait, I missed a big part. When I had my miscarriage, I was really upset, and Nathan bought me a pet bunny, and his name was Brutus, and I took that bunny everywhere. I pretty much made that bunny into my baby kind of thing. I took him everywhere with me. I loved him so much. And then one day, Brutus started getting sick, so I called the vet, and they told me that it was past the point of no return and that he was gonna die. And it was so heartbreaking for me. First I lost my baby, and now I was losing my bunny, and it was just the worst thing ever. And he ended up dying, and about a week or two later, I found out that I was pregnant again. So I feel like, in a way, that rabbit symbolized to me my baby, and he was there for me when it sounds stupid, maybe, I don't know, but I really needed him there when he was. And then it was I didn't need him anymore, so he was taken away. But I feel like it really helped me get through it. Not over it, but get through it. So I found out that I was pregnant again, and I find it a lot easier now to talk about my miscarriage. I know a lot of people, they get really, really, really upset about it, and I was. But some people, they don't seem to really get past it. And I feel like, personally, what helped me to get past it was the fact that I am pregnant again. And my first baby, the one that I miscarried with, would have been due on January 30th of 2013. And I got pregnant again. I found out I was pregnant in November of 2012. So right now I'm pregnant with this baby, and if it wasn't for my miscarriage, this baby would never exist. And I see it as, I can't have both of my babies, and I know that this baby, when I see it, I'm gonna be so excited, and I'm gonna love this baby so much. I already do love him so much. Being 36 weeks pregnant, and I just feel extremely connected to my unborn baby right now. And I know that if it wasn't for my miscarriage and it wasn't for that loss, I would never be able to have this baby. I would never be able to meet him. I would never be able to see him. And I feel like it happened for a reason. If If I was meant to have that baby, I would have had that baby, but now I have a different baby. And I'm not saying that this one's better than the other one or anything like that, but it makes it a lot easier knowing that, I don't know, like, you might understand, you might not. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that. But especially, I was not looking forward to my due date at all. Like, I was so upset. And I knew that once that due date came, it was going to be like the worst day of my life. Knowing that I should have had a baby and I don't. But instead of it being like that, I did have a baby. He wasn't born yet, but I had him and he was with me, and it was a really comforting feeling knowing that even though things didn't work out the first time, that things were looking better the second time. And my advice to anybody who suffered a miscarriage is wait until you're ready. Like, you can't just go out and rush having a baby. Like, that's a very upsetting and traumatizing and like just life like shitty situation to be in. If you feel like you're ready and you want to have another baby, like, personally, it's helped me a lot to get through the situation. And I think it's helped Nathan a lot too. He was really upset over it at first, but then I know he's not over it, and I know that he just didn't forget about it or anything like that, but he's better with keeping things to himself and not really letting people see that it bothers him that much. But I know that it did, and I feel like this helped him too, even though he doesn't really talk about it very much. I know there's other stuff that I wanted to say. I just don't know what it is. Oh yeah, if you do have a miscarriage, this is what my doctor told me. Wait at least one period cycle before you have another baby, or else your risk for another miscarriage is way higher. I personally didn't. Well, I bled for a while after I had my miscarriage, so I'm not sure exactly when I had it, and I don't know when they count the whole miscarriage thing, whether it's the day that it ends up dying, the day that it passes, the day that you stop bleeding, anything like that. I just think it's more like an experience than just a one-day kind of deal. But yeah, after I stopped bleeding, I had to wait until I got my period before trying to have a baby again. And we weren't actively trying at all, but we weren't as careful. We were a lot more careful during that first month because I knew that I couldn't handle going through another miscarriage, especially that close. So if you do have a miscarriage and you do think that you want to have another baby, try not to jump right into it right away. It took us a few months after, but at the same time, my baby is healthy and growing and everything's normal. This pregnancy, despite having a miscarriage before, I'm not put into a high-risk category, and everything just looks great so far as my doctor's concerned. So if you're going through this, it does get easier. I know that it doesn't seem like it does right now, but trust me, there's a lot of people that have gone through it, and if you're going through this situation right now and you feel like you need somebody to talk to, feel free to message me or leave a comment or anything like that. I'm gonna cut this off here because this video is really long, but I'll see you guys in a couple days for my next pregnancy update. I'll see you later.